What is going on? Welcome back to your Lake Fork Guide, man. There's been some craziness going on in the world of bass fishing. Obviously, Ben Milliken, the old MF'er himself, got arrested. The charge says tournament fishing fraud. We're going to break down. Did he cheat in the tournament? We're going to talk about it tonight. I mean, we're going to get into some details of it, give you a little bit of behind the scenes information. And man, we're really going to talk about like what is really the worst thing about the fishing industry, because this embodies a lot of it. Meanwhile, cheers. What do you think about that? Listen, just having a little fun. It's not, look, nobody get your feelings hurt. I've always liked this song, for the record. This is not just for tonight's video. I have always liked this song. Just saying. I gotta turn that off. It's gonna distract me. I'm gonna start laughing too hard. We're gonna fade that out. So man, yeah, Ben Milliken got arrested. That's not the only chaos that's happened. We got a freaking president of a major bass fishing organization apparently slapped some dude in the mouth or something in a restaurant. Got arrested for assault. Like what? What's going on? We'll talk about that. We'll touch on that tonight too, as well as if you guys got any questions about bass fishing in East Texas, Lake Fork, that I can help you with. I'll be happy to answer those as well. It should be a fun live stream tonight. It should be some interesting topics. I bet most of y'all that my take on this is probably not what you're expecting. I bet I'm going to surprise the majority of y'all when y'all hear what my opinion on this whole Ben Milliken arrested situation is. Like, it really does embody the worst parts of tournament bass fishing to me. Like, everything that's like the thing that's the most wrong with our industry. And it's hurt. I think it's starting to hurt our industry pretty bad. Some of the stuff that goes on, and this just embodies that in a big way, and we'll get into that. Before we do, we always like to make a couple of announcements, plugs, whatever you want to call it. Hey man, guide trips are here for you can go ahead and book your guide trip. We can go to Lake Fork. Lake Fork's been fishing pretty good this winter. We're set up pretty darn good this winter on Lake Fork. We've been catching some good fish out there. Obviously, I've been posting more about Monticello because that's kind of such a new thing. On Lake Monticello, I can only take one person in my two-man boat, because on Lake Monticello, y'all know we can't launch off the boat ramp. We got to launch off the bridge. So I only take one person in my two-man boat. But I decided to make this decision. Oh my, how the turntables have turned. I decided to go with this decision. If you guys want to split the cost of the guide trip on Monticello, one of y'all can jump in the boat with me, and another one of y'all, if y'all have a kayak or a tiny boat or something that you can launch by hand on Monticello, we can go ahead and get you guys involved where y'all can actually split the cost of the trip. I don't mind you guys following me around in these small boats. If y'all want to split it 3 ways, I'm cool with that too. So we can figure something out. Just holler at me. We'll come up with a price arrangement that works for you guys, get you out there on Monticello. We're not getting too many of these trips booked, and I don't know if it's because it's a lot of cost for only one person. I don't know if it's because of the time of year it is. But man, if you like bass fishing and catching some big bass, this is a guide trip you need to book, because like we can go smoke them on Monticello. It's very special. So just holler at me if you want to get out there, and we'll try to figure something out. I want to get more people on that lake because it's so special what's going on out there right now. So pretty rare opportunity. So let me know. We'll get you out there and have a good time. All right. Ben Milliken. Somebody said controversy follows Ben like a starving puppy. His YouTube channel is full of videos of confrontation with locals, him being accused of cheating, etc. Where there's smoke, there's fire. Here's the deal. It ain't that confrontation follows Ben like a puppy dog, like you say. I will say this. A big part of his job, what he does, like how he makes his living, is not catching fish on the Elite Series. That's not how he makes his living. How he makes his living is getting attention on social media. Those guys that are full-time, Ben was a full-time YouTuber long before he was a tournament fisherman. He fished tournaments like a lot of us have over the years, but he was, as a profession, he was a full-time YouTube social media influencer. That was his job for several years before he was ever fishing tournaments professionally on any, even close to that level. His job is to get attention on social media. You cannot do that on a big scalable, like business way. Like if you're going to make this your full-time job, you have to go after controversy. You have to clickbait people. You have to make crazy titles. You have to do things that are going to get outlandish amounts of attention. this, in all honesty, is probably going to help this dude's business when it comes down to it. Like at the end of the day, this ain't going to hurt Ben Milliken. I don't believe that's just an opinion, but I don't think this will hurt Ben Milliken's business in the least. I think at the end of the day, this is going to help him personally, as far as it's just bringing more attention to a guy that already has a lot of attention. So it's doing nothing but potentially putting even more new eyeballs on him. So it's not going to take people away from it. When they hear the full story, most people are going to see it. I want to believe most people are going to see it with a reasonable outlook of, well, that's not anything like what they made it out to be. And really, did anybody make it out to be that, or did we just run wild with our imagination right off the bat until we find out the whole story? Because that's kind of seems like what's going on. So let's talk about it. Because there is some wrongdoing. In my opinion, there is some wrongdoing on Ben Milliken. And I would like to state for legal purposes that everything I say in tonight's live stream will be my opinion and my opinion alone. This is not factual information I got from anywhere. It is just my opinion. But if you dig deep enough, you'll probably find out that what I'm saying, most of it is correct. So it's just my opinion, though, for the record. So Ben Milliken catches a share lunker early February of 2024. Share lunker is a 13-pound fish. You can donate it to Texas Parks and Wildlife Fisheries Department, and they will spawn it out and stock those big, giant genetics in multiple lakes. And then they release the fish back into the lake. Typically, most of them they release back into the lake. Some of them they keep, but very, very few. So Ben catches this fish, turns it in. Everything's good. Another share lunker for Ben. He's a great angler. He's done it. Well, I know for sure his buddy Desart caught that 16 on Ivy several years back. But after the fact, it is discovered that Ben purchased a fishing license in order to turn the fish in. So he caught this fish fishing without a license. He went and bought a license after he caught the fish in order to turn the fish into share lunker. Because it's not a legal catch if you don't have a license. If it's not a legal catch, you can't turn it into share lunker. It can't be filed as a record or anything like that. The share lunker program is a tournament technically. It's a technicality. The charge of tournament fraud. Did he cheat in a tournament? No. For what most of us, our standards are of cheating in a tournament, Ben Milliken absolutely did not cheat in a tournament. That's not what he did. There is a prize, and I think it's a drawing prize. Like you get entered in a drawing for prizes, and I think there's some cash involved if you catch one over 13 and turn it into the share lunker program. Because of the fact that they give away awards at the end of the year, drawings and all that stuff, technically it is a tournament. Okay? Nobody thinks of turning in a share lunker as entering a tournament. Not one person's ever turned a share lunker in and thought, I'm entering a tournament. That's never happened. But technically it is because there's prizes awarded. All this time after the fact, now they're going to go back and hit him with a tournament fraud charge. If he got a ticket for no fishing license, he gets a ticket for no fishing license. It's just like getting a ticket on the highway. You don't go to jail. There's no mug shot. There's none of that. Because they found a way to turn this into a tournament fraud charge, now it's an issue and he gets arrested. At the end of the day, forgetting to have a fishing license is not that big of a deal. Like, it can happen. Here's why it's a big deal to me. Ben Milliken's not your weekend angler. He's not. This guy fishes every single week. He fishes multiple days every week of the year. And we know that because we see videos of him fishing multiple days every single week of the year. Texas freshwater fishing licenses expire on September 1st. There used to be an option where you could pay more to buy it year to date. So if I bought it on February 1st, I could pay extra and have it last until February 1st of next year. I personally have never known a single person that's done that. So if Ben bought an annual license that expired the day before he caught this fish or something like that, he'd be the first one that I've ever known that bought a license year to date. Everybody that I know buys a license whenever you buy it, and it's good until August 31st. And if you don't have a new one by September 1st, you're fishing without a license. That's how the state of Texas license works. Like I said, he could have, if that option still exists. I know it used to exist. If it still exists where you can buy one year to date from the day you buy it till the next year on that day, he could have theoretically bought that. I've never known anybody that bought the year to date option. It's cheaper to just buy where it expires on August 31st, and then you buy another one that on September 1st, and it's good till next August 31st, and it's cheaper to do it that way. That's the only way anybody I know has ever done it. If he did it like everybody else that I've ever known buying a license in Texas has done it, then that means that dude just filmed and fished from September 1st of 2023 until early February of 2024 with no license. And then intentionally lied about having a license when he caught that fish to enter it into the ShareLocal program, because entering a 13-pounder into the ShareLocal program gets you a lot of what? Clicks. It's clickbait. It's clicks. Like when you catch a fish that big, it gets a lot of clicks. You turn it into the ShareLocal program, it gets even more clicks. So the problem with what Ben did, and where I'm not that I have any say or I have any authority over anything, but where if I'm in charge, where I'm slapping his hand and telling him he did something wrong, is the fact that you intentionally lied about this to enter that fish into the program instead of owning up and going, oh crap, I didn't have a license today. I need to let this fish go because that's not a legal catch. You intentionally did something that you knew was wrong to try and get more clicks and more attention and grow your business. That part I'm not okay with. That part's bad. Like that speaks bad to his character and his integrity. That's just, in my opinion, that speaks bad to his character and his integrity, the way he went about doing that. What also speaks bad, what also is kind of like, what the hell were you thinking, is the fact that he most likely did not have a license from September 1st until early February. That's crazy. Like, how do you fish that long without having a license? How does that happen? I don't understand that. Okay, I don't understand that. Like, I've been in this business about the same amount of time that Ben has. Like, when he first started doing YouTube was when I first started doing YouTube, and I'd been guiding a little bit before that. So I guess maybe I've been in this business a little bit longer than Ben has. I cannot see how you make the mistake of fishing multiple days every single week for September, October, November, December, January, for almost half a year. For 5 months, you fished multiple days a week without a license in Texas. I don't know if he had license in the other states he was fishing in on his videos or not. I'm sure he had plenty of out-of-state videos. No, he's fishing. He fished some opens during that time. I'm sure he had licenses in those states. How do you not have one in Texas where you live and do most of your fishing? That part doesn't add up to me. So for those that want to, cut him some slack and be like, oh, it's easy to forget a license. Yes, it's easy for most people to forget a license. 100%. It's easy to forget to renew your license if you fish once a week, if you fish once a month. It can slip your mind. I get it. But when it's part of your daily life, it's not easy to forget. It's something you blew off and thought it didn't really matter, in my opinion. So that is what happened. Like I said, this is what I've gathered from knowing people inside the industry and hearing some of the inside scoop. I was aware that this was coming before it ever came. Like, this got back channeled around the industry the moment he got arrested, dude. Like there was probably some that knew about it before he got arrested, because now we can start getting into what I really think is the worst part of bass fishing, tournament fishing industry. Everybody is so anxious to get in somebody's business to try to hurt them. Like, you got to understand something here. Like, if you take Ben Milliken and you hurt his career enough to where he goes away, do you think that helped the bass fishing industry? Because it didn't. Because what Ben does on YouTube and what every content creator does on YouTube, man, that is like, it's good exposure. It's exposure, it's marketing, it's advertising. And I know that the fishing industry is full of people that are so daggum ignorant when it comes to business, but they can get mad at me. I've been blackballed as much as I can be blackballed, so I don't care anymore. You people in the fishing industry, I say you people, you bass fishing tournament. When I say, okay, let me say this first. When I say fishing people, I'm not talking about y'all. I'm talking about tournament fishermen, hardcore tournament fishermen, the ones that want to make a living tournament. There is some sickness in that culture, dude, and it's disgusting, and it makes you want to go away from it as far as you can. It's an ugly world when you get inside of it. When you peek your head inside that tournament fishing world, it's ugly as it can be. It's nasty, dude. And they are so anxious to run him out. Like, there's people that want him gone. And there's people that want me gone, and there's people that want everybody that makes a living that's gone. We all have our little cliques and enemies, and that's how it works in here. And I've just tried to freaking arm distance myself from all of it at this point. So I don't hardly even talk about any of this stuff anymore because I just want to get away from it. But man, it's got to be called out for what it is. This is petty jealousy. It's such petty jealousy what people in this industry and all the comments that you see online, that is nothing more than fanboys who are echoing what they've heard from somebody they're a fan of. Whether it's through personal conversations, the people they're fans of, their comments, their posts, it's something that they've got from them, and they're echoing their fanboy sentiments. For all the people that love Randy Blockett, they're hating on Ben Milliken right now because him and Ben Milliken don't get along. That's ridiculous, dude. Like, this is this dude's livelihood, number one. That's like lacks integrity and character on those people's part. Number two, it's bad for the industry that we're always at each other's throat and that we put everything that's ugly in this industry, you want to put it on blast right away. That shit is disgusting, dude. Like, that is bad human characteristics that we're displaying. I'm not probably articulating this very well because I'm not a real well-educated dude either. But this industry does not understand marketing. It doesn't understand scaling businesses. There's not very many people in this industry that understand any of that. And what Ben does is good for everybody around him in the industry. It's good for the entire Elite Series. I bet you the Elite Series doesn't want to ban Ben or kick him off for this or anything. You know why? Because he brings a lot more eyeballs to the Elite Series. A lot more. He's the best thing that's happened to them in a while. So, I've lived it personally. For those of y'all that probably know my story, you know there's been a freaking mugshot of me that got passed around and an arrest that happened that was pretty damn petty with me too. Like, I took my lumps. I will tell you this. I got an arrest. Yes, it was petty. Yes, everything was set up. Yes, law enforcement officials shared information to make my arrest very publicized. Like, Ben's lucky he didn't get what I got. I had dudes sitting there with phone cameras, like people that compete with me in this business, sitting there with phone cameras, blasting it all over social media, trying to defame me and slander me any way they could when I got arrested for some petty nonsense. It happened to me. I've been there, done that. It was stupid. And you know what? I was dumb enough to make a mistake that allowed them to do something like that. Was it petty and unnecessary? Yeah. But it was because of a mistake that I made. So I had to wear it, dude. It's like when you get hit with a pitch in baseball, you can't cry about it. You got to jog to first base and wear that thing, dude. Like, I had to wear that charge, and I had to wear that dent on my reputation, and it hurt my business. It hurt me in my personal life, and it hurt me a lot more than it should have because of the way the bass fishing industry is. And I hope and pray for Ben Milliken it doesn't do that to him. Now, I have no reason to like Ben Milliken. In fact, when this happened to me, my relationship with Ben Milliken and 6 Cents ended forever, and it was sorry what happened there, and I've never even gone into the details of that, but I guarantee you the way that breakup happened was ugly too, and it was sorry, and it was because of petty jealousies at the end. They can use what happened publicly as the excuse, but what really caused my relationship with 6 Cents and Ben Milliken to end was the same petty jealousy bull like crap. Same thing, okay? So I've lived this to the T, and I have no reason to take Ben's side in this. I have a lot of reasons to go against Ben and 6 Cents, but we're not going to do that. I'm not gonna hold that grudge. I gave them the ammunition to do what they did. They were influenced by people that wanted the worst for me, and it happened, and it's over, and it's done with, and I got no hard feelings. You don't want to be part of my business? That's fine. We can move on and not be partners anymore. It's all good. No big deal. I'll take the lumps. But that deal did definitely hurt my business. It definitely hurt my personal life situation, even affected things to do with my children and everything else. Like, it was a bad, bad deal. And like I said, I pray and hope it doesn't affect Ben in that kind of way. And I don't think he's in the same situation I was where it can, but I hope that it doesn't in any way. This charge, though, of tournament fraud, I mean, come on, dude. Like, are we really going there? Like, it's a technicality charge. Now, what I will say is he's also, at the same time they're over-exaggerating and they're getting after him, and making things worse than they need to be on the tournament fraud, like that's petty, yeah. But they're also doing him a favor unless he bought a year-to-date license. Because if he didn't buy a year-to-date license, he's got a lot of video evidence of him fishing without a license if it expired on September 1st. A lot. If he bought a year-to-date license and it expired right before that video, that's one thing. But like I said, I don't even know anybody that buys a year-to-date license. They all buy it where it expires September 1st. If that's the case, he could be charged. He could have dozens of tickets handed to him based on video evidence of him fishing in Texas during that time period. So he's going to have to own up to it. And like I said, the part where he screwed up, in my opinion, and the part that looks bad on him, looks bad on his character and integrity, is that he intentionally lied about the fishing license thing to get that fish turned in so he could get more views and grow his business. That's the part that reflects bad on him to me. He's going to have to own up to that one and wear that. Like, he's got to wear that. There's no way getting around that. That is what it is. He's the Happy Gilmore of fishing right now. I don't think so. I mean, I think Ben's been very well accepted in the tournament fishing world. I think everybody's pretty much welcomed him. I think there's some that don't like him, and that's okay. Like, that's going to happen. But here's my deal. Just because you don't like him doesn't mean you need to try to harm his means of doing business or harm him to a place where it affects his personal life. Yeah. Good personal friend of mine here, Michael Burnside, said he is getting a massive amount of free publicity. He will have more fans after this is said and done. Probably. That's usually how it works. Like, in case you guys don't know how this works, you can blow somebody up negatively all you want to. And in the end, if they keep powering through it and they don't run and hide and disappear, like, I'll tell you where I made my mistake is I got sick of all this and I didn't make social media content for a while because of everything that happened with me. And that's what hurt my business. I let it affect me to a point where I didn't make the content, and that hurt my business. If Ben powers through this and keeps going, at the end of the day, you can be negative all you want to, but when you make a negative post that gets 2,000, say your negative post gets 2,000 looks, and let's say that 500 of them didn't know who Ben Milliken was to that post, and those 500 go look at Ben Milliken. Well, maybe 450 of them think you're right and Ben Milliken is a bad dude for this and everything else. But that's 50 new people that he just found out who he is, and now they like him. Because they go watch some of his stuff and they're like, oh, dude, this dude's actually pretty cool. I don't know what the hell all the fuss is about. You just gained him 50 followers. That's how it works. Like, every negative publicity is not bad. So there's the real story, and there's my opinion of that. Like, and I may have rambled and, like I said, not articulated it very well because I'm not a highly educated guy myself. I'm just a dadgum fishing guy at the end of the day. But I feel like over the years, this channel has become a place where you guys kind of expect us to tell you what's going on in the world of fishing at times. And you expect honesty and truth here. And so that's what I tried to give you. Gave you with my opinion. You know, it's just, like I said, all this is just my opinion. Those are the alleged facts that I've gathered. None of them are hardcore legal facts. Like, I've just gathered these alleged facts from knowing people inside the industry. But I would venture to guess most of what I just told you is probably going to turn out exactly like I just told you. Never met him, so I can't say if I like him or not. As an Elite Series, I'm reading a comment here. As an Elite Series angler and popular YouTuber, he is a role model for the next generation of anglers. Yeah, and unfortunately, that's a heavy burden to bear. I can tell you that. Like, I fight that because, I mean, look, we all know who we are. Like, well, maybe not everybody's like me, but like me, like, I don't have like a clean, nice guy background. Like, dude, I played sports a lot. I played ball a long time. I was in a locker room a lot. Well, you know, people aren't real nice in there. Like, we cuss and we're hyper aggressive and we'll fight you in a locker room. That's usually how most locker rooms are. I was in the Marine Corps. Even worse than that direction, right? Like I can have rough language, very bad. I'm very bad at rough language. I can be too damn aggressive. I can be a hyper aggressive guy. And even being as small as I am, I feel some of that pressure about the role model thing. There's a lot of things that I want to let rip and say on here, but I don't because I have kids and I live in a small town and there are kids in this town that are watching this video right now. And so I have to mind what I do and say. Like, there's a lot of I could get a lot more views and grow this channel real fast if I said the things that someone like Michael Burnside, who's a close friend of mine. Mike Burnside knows me well. If I said some of the crap I say back and forth between me and Mike, this channel would do a lot better. But I can't do that because I do, whether I want to be or not, I have to be somewhat of a role model to these kids because there's kids that are watching this stuff. So that's a heavy burden to bear when you get on social media, start getting some notoriety. Especially for me, like with me having kids, it makes it feel even heavier that I have to try to do things a little bit better than what I normally would. But that's a tough thing to live up to, man. Like it's a lot of pressure. Believe it or not, it can get to you. Like it's a hard thing to be good about that stuff all the time. Burnside says, I feel like almost everyone has forgot to renew their license at some point. I know I have. Yeah, I mean, I'm sure everybody has, but you gotta understand, dude. This dude fishes multiple days a week, every week of the year. You get email reminders when that comes up. Like when your renewals come up, they email you. Y'all all know that. Like when it's when it's how you make your living, you don't make that mistake. Like you're not supposed to. Small water charters, there you go. I'm on the water every day. I can't make that mistake. Yeah, and it should be something that's on your mind. Like if you're fishing every single week, when that email reminder comes in, you go, dang, hey man, I got to renew this license. Right? Like it's not something that you just forget about. Like if he really didn't have a license from September 1 to February 1, like he thought about it at some point in that time period. He had to. I can't imagine how he could not think of that. Big John's asking what they biting on, man. So like it depends on where you're fishing, kind of. You know that always depends. Like the lake's a little different. Like Fork, man, it's winter fishing for the most part. It's jerk bait, Alabama rig type stuff, bridge columns, standing timber. You know, live scope's a big deal right now on Fork for sure. The shallow grass bite's gotten pretty grindy, pretty tough. Something else going on. I don't know if I want to talk about just yet. We're not going to mention that just yet. We're going to hold off on a little bit, but there'll be a new pattern I'll be telling you about here pretty soon. So I'm not going to put that on public blast just yet, but it's coming. And then I've been going to Monticello a decent bit, and that place is completely different. It's grassed up, you know, some good grass and some good water depth, and we're catching them slow rolling and chatterbait through grass out there. So. It's duck season. They biting on steel shot. That's right, Burnside. It is duck season. Phil Clark says he doesn't remember getting reminders on his or his wife. Man, I do. I get email reminders. They email you to renew your license when it's fixing to expire. In fact, I've been taking one of my sons hunting over in Louisiana with my buddy Zach Watts the last couple of years, and I just got a reminder on that for his hunting license in Louisiana because we bought it last year about this time when we went hunting, and so I just got a reminder on that one. So. Yeah, I mean, if you don't remember getting them, maybe not, but like I know I get them. But bottom line is, for this to be such a big story is not an indicator of what a serious violation this is, because it's not. Like, yeah, he did something wrong with the intentionally lying about the license to turn to fishing. That's an integrity issue there. But how big this is blown up to be is much more of an indicator of the state of this industry where everybody has somebody they're looking to tear down. And that is a problem. Like, man, like Randy Blockett is making an entire living on trying to tear other people down. Y'all realize that? Like that exists in this industry. People that make their entire living trying to tear other people down. That's bad, man. Like it's a bad look. It's why people are, you know, the casual fan is not paying. Like they're getting turned off of tournament bass fishing right now because of how much penny ante nonsense there is at all times. At all times. I guess we didn't talk about this. The MPFL. I don't know the whole story on this. I haven't researched it, but the MPFL, and I haven't asked any of the people that know, the president, Brad Fuller, was arrested for hitting or slapping or hitting or something one of his anglers. I guess they got into a heated argument. Somebody got popped in the mouth. Now, that's against the law, and you can't do that as a president of a tournament organization. 100% you can't do it. Not these days. However, should this be headline news? No, I don't think so. Not in my opinion. If two men are having a verbal altercation and it gets heated to the point where somebody's being disrespected that bad and you get popped in the mouth, in my personal opinion, that shouldn't be that big a deal. I think the world was a lot better when a dude could hit somebody in the mouth and he could hit him back, and then it was done and it was done. Like, I think the world was way better off when that was the case. Unfortunately, that is not the world we live in, and you can't do that crap anymore. I think we'd be a lot better off if we could, but that's not the world we live in. I miss the fact that we can't do that. I wish it was that way. I think you're talking about Brad Fuller, who, by the way, is a military veteran, right? Like, this dude's been in a fight before. If you want to run your head and get aggressive with him, you probably ought to get popped in the mouth. Like, whether you agree with him or not, you better do it with some respect. Like, that's how it should be, but it's not. It's not. And I think that is also part of our issue now. Everybody thinks they can say whatever they want about anybody and get away, and there's no repercussions. Like, people think they can run their head however they want to, and there's no repercussions. Man, look, some of this would probably stop pretty quick if when you were disrespectful to somebody and said things that crossed the line, you got popped in the mouth. Some of it would probably stop. And I know that's not popular. I know that's not the modern way to do things, but that is my opinion on how it should be. But it's also my understanding that it's not that way, and I can't do that. And that's what it is. You know, you can't fight it. It's just, the world has changed, for better or worse. It all started with that woman that sued McDonald's over hot coffee. Yeah, I mean, I remember that. I was pretty young when that happened, but like, I remember the McDonald's lawsuit. Like, did you expect the coffee to be cold? Like, if you spill the coffee, it's going to burn you, okay? And all that means is McDonald's did a good job of giving you some hot coffee. They should have been rewarded, not sued. Like, it's just common sense. Charlie Robertson said, this reminds me of the DAs in the Trump cases, making a mountain out of a molehill just to make a name for themselves, no matter who it hurt. I don't think they were doing it to make a name for themselves. I think they were doing it because it was being prodded by the powers that be in politics, and we don't need to get into that discussion because that can go in a completely different sideways direction. There is some similarity. I will say that, and I've said this to friends in personal discussions many times. There's a lot of similarities in how bass fishing tournament, professional level bass fishing people behave behind the scenes. A lot of similarities to them and career politicians, more especially liberal-leaning career politicians. Very much, a ton of similarities in that. I felt it in some of the things that have happened to me. I'm like, well, this is a lot like the liberals versus Trump. Like, and the ironic part is, dang near every single one of them is very conservative. Like, almost every one of them's a Trump voter, and yet they behave like liberal politicians when it comes to something they don't like in the industry. A lot of similarities to that stuff. So, all right. I guess I've beat on the dead horse all I can, man. It's been a crazy week in the world of bass fishing news. Crazy few days. I was shocked. I'll tell you what, I was shocked by it when it came out. Before it came out, I was shocked by it because, like I said, it was getting back-channeled around the fishing world, like the professional fishing industry world. Those people were back-channeling this before it ever went public. And I had 2 or 3 different guys that I was messaging about it, and I told them all, man, it's just got to be fake, dude. Like, there's no way this is real. Like, I didn't think it was real. I thought it was fake. I thought it was, that's how bad the industry was. I thought it was something somebody made up, faked this. The thumbnail we used tonight, I thought somebody faked that. That got sent to me. I thought somebody had faked that to make him look bad because they want to tear him down. That's how messed up the industry is. Turns out it was actually true, but at the end of the day, the dude just caught a big one without a license and tried to get away with turning it in. That part's wrong. We've already said that. We're not going to keep beating on that. So, yeah. He got arrested for the ponytail. Well, someday he'll be old enough that hair won't grow as much anymore. He won't be able to have that ponytail, so I guess we ought to let him have it while he can. Maybe they're mad about the hangover. Well, I will say, if you bought one of them hangover swim baits, you might have a case there. That might be a legitimate reason on that one. That's pretty good. Burnside said he put his mugshot on his profile as his profile. It did crack me up in his mugshot how big he was smiling. That was the opposite. When it happened to me, I did not handle it that well. I was looking like I was ready to kill somebody. But, and what's funny is when it happened to me, I got my mugshot. I looked mad as hell. But then somebody took it and put that damn crying face filter on there. Made me look like I was crying, which was pretty funny. But, yeah. So, anyways, that's going to wrap it up, man. Y'all have a good night. Thanks for joining us. Don't buy into all the BS that you see out there. All this is getting blown out of proportion. There was some wrongdoing on his part. He's going to have to own up to that. At the end of the day, this dude did not cheat in a tournament by the standards of what any of us think is cheating in a tournament. That did not happen. And that comes from a guy, okay? That comes from a guy that has absolutely no reason to be on this guy's side. I have plenty of reasons to not be on the side, none to be on the side, but I'm telling you straight up, this is blown out of proportion, man, like in a huge, huge way. So let's move on, and let's all watch. Again, from a guy that has no reason to be on the side, let's go watch a dude that's really good at catch fish this year. You know what I mean? Like, he's good at it. Let's try to learn from him. So cheers, y'all. Let's get it. We'll see you next time right here on your Lake Fork Guide.